For those who don't know me, hello, my name is Olivia Monahan, aka Liv Styler. I am with the IIJ, and I'm happy to be here with you today and happy to be here with Mary. So let's do our little quick housekeeping. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, we are going to be talking today with Mary. The closed captions will be available for anyone who may need them. The session is being recorded, and the recordings will be sent out sometime after the session. So if for some reason you have to leave early, don't worry, don't fret. We will make sure that you get a chance to get all of this goodness. If you have questions, which I assume you will, because I already have a ton of them, please put them in the Q&A box. We don't want to miss anything. We want to make sure we can address them as much as possible. It will get lost if they're in the chat. So the Q&A box is your friend when it comes to questions. With all of the information we are going to be learning today, Mary is going to be sharing some insights with us. If you find some gems or some flattering screenshots of us as we're on our journey together, please feel free to share them on social media with the hashtag #TheIIJ, or you can tag us at @the_IIJ. We are also going to have Mary's LinkedIn available in the chat if you want to connect with her throughout this process. Lastly, please take shared responsibility for any of the impact that you have with the words that you may use in our chat. We strive to balance empowerment with understanding that everyone is not in the same place at the moment. This is a space that centers journalists of color and journalists of marginalized voices. All are welcome to come and share the space. If you're new to our events, please listen first and be open to learning. If you've been here before, I'm sorry, you probably heard this already by now, but we love you either way. Now, I'm going to go on to do what we're really here for, introduce our speaker. You got to be sick of me by now. Mary Nahorniak is a Google News Labs U.S. teaching fellow focused on collaborating with journalists and entrepreneurs to drive innovation in news. God knows we love to hear that. She was previously a part of USA Today's leadership team as the director of audience, responsible for the organization's digital platforms and a 24/7 team of nearly 30 editors. Can't even imagine. Mary was one of the first journalists pioneering how newsrooms can directly connect with audiences through social platforms, beginning at the Baltimore Sun in the mid-2000s. She is also a Poynter Institute adjunct and an ICF certified leadership coach, which I could use, and has helped clients at ESPN, Harvard Business Review, and the U.S. Department of Justice define and realize their goals. What else can you say? Thank you for being here, Mary. We appreciate you, and I'm going to turn it over to you so we can learn.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liv. Hi, everyone. So nice to be with you today. When you mentioned the 24/7 team and said, can't even imagine, I will say I do get a little more sleep now. You might also guess that I am also a freelancer. So I do a lot of different things for a lot of different organizations. Google, I would call my biggest client. So I know some of your life, both from the journalistic point of view, of course, and then also from being a solopreneur and being a freelancer and doing your own thing. So happy to be with you all. Thank you for having me. Let's see. I will pause at some points during our conversation to check in on questions. If something is burning, it's important, it needs to be addressed right away. Liv will let me know, and you can also let her know. And I want that to feel interactive. So I do invite all of that. I'm going to share my screen now, which is the hardest thing to do while talking. I could do a lot of other things while talking, but this is the one I have to stop talking. There we go. Okay, tell me if something doesn't look right, but it looks like it looks good. Also, I have put your faces in the Zoom over here. So if there's a conversation happening and it seems like as soon as you start talking or I address your question, I look away, I'm actually looking right at you. All right, let's get into it and we'll talk about what we're going to go over today. Tools for digital reporting. So this is really focused on the work. Everything I show you today is free. For the most part, it's available to the general public. There's one or two things that are only available to journalists, which is you. That includes freelancers. So you don't need to be on staff anywhere to access these tools. So I will call that out when that is the case. And I always put this slide up in case I forget to introduce myself, but Liv did a really nice job of that. So we could just laugh at Mike Myers for a second and move on. These are the three things that the Google News Initiative focuses on. My role is in the first bucket, advancing the practice of quality journalism through tools and through training. It's my job to do exactly this. So if there is a training that you know that the industry could use in another space, I hope you will reach out. Speaking of which, I'm going to turn my tab over to the cheat sheet. think Haley's actually going to put this in the chat. I'm used to doing that myself, so I was about to do it. But this is for you, and you will see it in the chat momentarily. And so this is, it's a cheat sheet. It's everything we're going to look at today and a bunch of things that we won't have time for, but they're there as a resource for you. I'll also highlight right at the top contact information for myself, contact information for the Google News Initiative at large, contact information for teams that work on the tools that we will look at today. So all good stuff here. And we'll share this at the end, but I want to address, there's a survey, of course, as you are used to in webinars, but there's also a certificate. It's the same link. I'm going to go back to my slides to talk about it. And so these are our three kind of umbrella categories of content that we train on. We are right now in digital reporting skills. And so when we're done today, you will have completed this training. And if you would like a certificate, you can get one through that same survey link. And some people like to put them on their LinkedIn. Some people use them in performance reviews. Whatever you would like to do with it, it's yours to have. So that's available for you. Okay, and these are our topics for today. So we're going to look at some advanced search techniques and some specialized search engines that can help you with the work that you're doing. We're going to look at Google Trends, not a new tool, but one that a lot of folks, if they've used it, use in a very specific way. And I want to kind of broaden our thinking about it, in particular, thinking about pitching. And then we're going to look at Pinpoint. It's one of our newer tools. It's really, really powerful. It's only available to journalists. It does audio transcription, which sometimes that might be all I need to say. It's free. So a lot of folks use other tools for that. It does it in multiple languages, which is really valuable. So we'll do that one third. My goal with all of this is that it's actionable and usable. I'm not here to sell you anything. My hope is that some of these tools are useful to you in your day-to-day work, whether that's reporting, coming up with story ideas, imagining the work and then getting the work done. And I want it to be actionable immediately, ideally this afternoon or as late or as early as next week. So my hope is that there are some strong takeaways. Okay, so we're going to start with advanced search operators. You may find that you know some of this early stuff, and that's great. It's like going to a conference and going like, oh, I already know all the little updates on this particular topic. Perfect, you're in great shape. And my hope is there's something new. So I think we're going to quickly build and progress into some new information. So our advanced search operators, this gets to searching with more efficiency. Search operators are also called search refinements, which is how I like to think of them. So we're going to try to get less information in our search results, but we want it to be better. We want to increase that signal to noise ratio, get higher quality information, find that needle in the haystack. Some of these are things that you might not start your search realizing that you need, but when you look at your results, you'll add in. And some of them can be exploratory, which I'll talk about as we get to them. And some of them are like, I know this thing exists and I am on a mission to find it. So you can use them in both ways. The first is just removing information from a search. This is one that you've probably done. If not, it's a good reminder. It's just a Boolean search. This is sort of our classic use case. If you're searching for Jaguar cats and you know there are Jaguar cars, you're going to take out words like car and automobile because you're just trying to get rid of all that noise. There's going to be tons of that in those search results. Similarly, if you want to force include something, so in this case, if you wanted information about that car, you could plus force include things. And this is saying these words with the plus sign in front of them must be in my search results. So sometimes Google kind of goes broad and sort of goes, oh, if you're looking for X, you might want to see Y. This is saying, no, I just want specifically X, just do this. I use this one every day. This is a site search. I use this all the time at USA Today. I call this Googling from the side. So what this is you're going to do a site colon, and you're going to put in a URL. It does not have to be a homepage. It can be a deeper, longer URL to a section or whatever. And then you are searching a keyword. So here I'm searching Baltimore City, where I used to live, their city government site. And I'm searching, my keyword is health. So what do they have? What do they have on health? This is great for sourcing information. And that's how we've set this one up here. This is also great for searching maybe sites that you write for, competitor sites. The way that I use it most of the time is I go, I know I read that article. I'm having a hard time finding it by maneuvering around this site. I'm going to head over to Google and do that. You can also use this for Googling through Facebook, TikTok, Twitter /X, finding things using the way that Google searches instead of having to use the native searching on those sites, some of which are not easy to use. TikTok is notoriously hard to search. We can do that here. So let me actually show you one of those. We'll do our first little live demo. So I can do site tiktok.com, and then I can think about what is it that I'm looking for. So I'm going to let's look for Milton. He came through last week. And so here are my search results. They're all TikTok, right? I'm not looking for articles about TikTok. I'm going, what are the videos? Or if I were in some of the locations affected by the latest couple of hurricanes, I can also sort by time. So this isn't, I don't have a slide for this, but I like to always call it out. You should know that it's here. On any search results page, when you see the word tools, click on it and see what's there. Every type of search results page is going to have a slightly different set of tools. And so here I can sort by time. So if this were the day after Milton came through, I can do last 24 hours. I'm just looking for TikToks that people have shared, and that gives me a sense of what's happening on the ground. What's the storm damage like, right? Or what are people saying about it? And so here we'll just do past week. So we're just removing out anything else about Milton that might have been 3 months old or some other type of Milton. Now we are just getting more clear on what we have, right? So this can just be a much quicker way of finding this kind of thing than feeling like we're just kind of meandering around the web or we're going down some rabbit holes. Okay, so that is a site search. We can also go more broad, and we can search by type of site. This I really like for sourcing. So here I'm saying I want .orgs. I only want nonprofits, and I'm looking for one that specializes in non-voters. Maybe I'm doing a story on who are folks that don't vote. I'd like to know more about their thinking, who's got research, right? So give me all the nonprofits. .edus. I'm looking for an academic who specializes in a certain topic, or maybe a university that has a department on this kind of thing. So a lot of times I would come up with a story idea and then kind of go, well, now who am I going to talk to about that? This is a way of coming at that. If you cover the military, .mil, you can look at other countries like .co.uk. So these all search what's called the top level domain, the TLD, the thingy at the end of the URL. So we're saying just this kind, right? I mentioned edus, gov, that's the other one I find really helpful. So any local, state, or federal in the US government site, I just do site : gov. Eagle-eyed folks, if we have former copy editors in the bunch, and I am one, you'll notice I'm putting these in kind of random order. You can put them in either order. You do need to have your site : no space, the thing after it, the URL or the type of site. But your keyword, non-voter, health, or the examples you've seen me use, those can be in either direction. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite. All right. Despite working most of my 20 years in the newsroom in digital, I did not know about this until I started this role at Google, and I want to share this with as many people as possible. That's my submission for all the work that I do, is share the file type search. So this allows us to narrow our results to a single type of file, in this case, Excel files or CSV, PDF. Those are the ones I use the most. So this is a super broad search, of course, searching the web for expenses, Excel files. Who knows what we might find? But this is a way of saying, I want the data for myself. I don't want to read what you say about the data. I want that Excel file. So let's do one of these. I'm going to just go back to baltimorecity.gov because I've got it on the brain. If there is something you would like me to search, please put it in the chat, by the way. So I'm searching site : baltimorecity.gov. I'm putting in file type Excel, and I came up with nothing. So when I see that little guy, I go, okay, good to know. See what PDFs they have. Okay, so I got too narrow, and that happens sometimes, right? I've refined it into, there's nothing left. Here I have, oh, I know why. It's because I was in the past week. Ha. Now what I've done is I've searched for PDFs. This is that exploratory type of search that I was mentioning. Maybe there's something I know that I want here. Maybe it's about health or whatever. Or maybe I just want to know, what has baltimorecity.gov posted that's a PDF in the last week? And I got 2 hits. So if that's an organization that I cover or I'm concerned with whatever they might be sharing, this is a great way to just keep tabs on it. Another thing that you can do is you could create an alert. So I'm not going to walk us through how to do that, but Google Alerts are something that we've all probably set up. They're not new, but you can create this specific kind of search. So if it's like anytime something new is posted that looks like this, I want to get an email about it because you specialize on that certain topic, you want to own it. That is a great way to do that. So you can set up an alert with this kind of search. Let's go back. I would just want to see. I only get one Excel file for all time from the city of Baltimore. But if I'm covering this and it's called data sheet, I'm definitely going to click on that because I'd love to know what's in there. So this is the kind of thing that just, again, can help you kind of see what's been posted, what's interesting. Again, getting your hands on that raw data. All right, a couple of others. This is an in URL search. Here, this is what I would call a guess. And we do lots of this. We're all searching for things all day long. We're not even consciously thinking about it when we search this point. We just pick up our phones, we open up a new tab, and we type something in. My goal here is so that whatever you type in, we're doing that a little bit more thoughtfully. And so here, this is a guess. I'm looking for information about journalism scholarships. That's my keyword. And I want the word apply to be in that URL. I don't know that they're structured this way. I'm guessing. Maybe the word application is another reasonable guess. The reason I would do this is, let's say a person who's looking for scholarships has only 30 minutes to work on that today. And they don't want to read the 6 pages of preamble and who the scholarship is named for. They want to apply. They want to spend their limited time and energy doing that one thing. The other way I think about using this is looking at news sites. And when you know how their URLs are structured, a particular section maybe that you pitch regularly, if it's got a great name, like feature sections have all kinds of cool names, or columnists' last names are often in their URLs. So you can really narrow in, just go, I'm looking for any time that this section has published a story about some topic. So you could do the in URL as long as you've got that keyword in there. Cool. We talked about TikTok already. This is slightly different. This is an in title search. So this is saying I want a certain word to be in the page title. As where TikTok goes, that would be the video title. And page title is often the headline, not always exactly the same thing, but that's a CMS rabbit hole that we won't go down. And so this is, here we're looking for TikToks that have the word hack in the title. And so we don't want to read about TikTok and its cultural import and what's happening with different states doing it and all. That's not what we're looking for. We want TikToks that are hacks or hacks for using it. So again, it's a guess, right? I'm just going to put this one up the way I have it there. In title hack, and I'm just putting TikTok. I haven't done site TikTok. I just kind of want to see what else might be there. Maybe I'm actually not looking for TikTok videos. Maybe I am looking for hacks about TikTok, right? Ooh, here's a good one. And so I can go down here and kind of see a little bit more what's there. So that one is the page title. This is sort of where we're headed. So I like to put up this thing, and if you're looking at that and your eyes start crossing, you're not alone. It's a mouthful for me as well. The reason I put this up, and I'll talk us through it in just a second, is to let you know there's no limit to the amount of these terms that you can combine. So again, the more you add, the narrower you're going to get, and perhaps the more likely you're going to find that thing that you're looking for. Or in my case, when we saw that little monster guy and he was fishing, he didn't find anything. Sometimes we get so specific, we've eliminated our possibilities, and that'll happen. So this is a blend of kind of art and science. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take this one from the back. I'm looking for PDFs on government sites about COVID. I skipped back over to the front. And in the title, I want the words asymptomatic in cases. And the reason that this search is here is I was looking for this exact thing a few years ago when a study was released about asymptomatic COVID cases. And I had some specific information or questions that I wanted to know the answers to. And I was reading a lot of news stories about this study. They didn't answer my question. And I thought, I'm done reading news stories. I want to read this. I want to read the research for myself. I need to go find it. It's probably on the CDC or FDA website, maybe both. So this is a guess. I'm pretty sure it's in a PDF format. And I know it's got these words. So sure enough, I was able to find what I was looking for. All right. I want to highlight this one. This is not a Google tool. This is just a great tool. If you haven't thought about the Wayback Machine in a little while, or if you've never heard of it, I just want to remind you that it's out there. It's wonderful. I did try to pull it up live in a demo last week and it didn't load. I think that was, this is, yeah, okay, it's offline, sorry. Well, I want you to know that it's there. I'll tell you sort of what this screenshot is. Wayback Machine will allow you to go back in time to a URL. Here I had typed in usatoday.com. What screenshots, they're not exactly screenshots, but you can think of them like that. What is there from these days? What did usatoday.com look like on January 4th, 2006, right? Or what did this company say about their CEO last year before their CEO did that thing they weren't supposed to do? Or if something gets posted and taken down, a press release, a tweet, this is a great resource to potentially help find that. We've all probably heard in our work as journalists, everything you put out there online can be found and can be potentially used against you. This is when we're looking for information, we can flip that on its head and go, I'm going to find it, right? That thing that someone posted, even if it was just for 20 minutes, I might be able to find it using the Wayback Machine. So I just want to remind you that it's out there. It's a wonderful resource. We already looked at that. Okay, this is where if you're going, okay, you're already throwing a lot at me and I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed, no worries. Everything I just told you is available on this page, the advanced search page. And let's just go take a peek at it. So we will all have this. We go to google.com, we click on settings, we go up to advanced search, and this page is going to help us think through our search using most of those operators that I just showed you. So what word am I looking for? Is there something I want to exclude? Is there a specific phrase that needs to be included? Lots of options here with good examples. And then a couple of other things that are helpful too. So I can sort by language. I only want results in Spanish. Somebody I spoke with recently was looking for information from Israel. She sorted into Hebrew. You can sort by results from different countries. It says region, it means country. I can sort by time. I am only looking for something from the last 24 hours, perhaps. And then the file types are here. So we've talked about those PDFs, those Excel files, all of that lives here. It's not every file type under the sun. It's the ones that we would care about, PowerPoints, docs, etc. So I can do my whole advanced search right here. Okay. I have a couple of other, I call them specialized search engines. I don't know if Google likes that I call them that, but that's how I think of them. You're welcome to use that language if you wish, that I think can be helpful. And then we'll change gears to our next set of tools and I'll check in for questions. So the next one I want to show you is Google Scholar. Often when I ask a room full of students if they've used it, they all have. And if I ask a room full of professional journalists if they've used it, I usually get like a hand or two. And so Scholar is really interesting. It's one of those things that's just not on the radar for everyone. What it does is it allows us to search through academic research and only academic research. And so it's not every piece of academic research being published, but it's a lot. I can also search through case law. I'm not going to go through that in our demo, but I want you to know that that's here. That is only at the state or federal level, so not municipal court systems. But it can be just a little bit easier to sort of use a Googly tool to do that than like LexisNexis. So articles, this means academic research. So I would love if anyone has a topic they'd like me to search, something they typically cover, are working on. I've got plenty of ideas, but I'll just give a second in the chat. What type of research should I look for here? Homelessness. Okay, great. Thank you, James. Oh, that's it. Everyone can't see that, but I see it. Yeah, thank you, James. Homelessness. That's what we're going to do. So I just started typing it in. Boom. Just like Google Auto Suggest, I get ideas already. I'm going to actually, I want to go back because I want to type in that whole word because I also want to see what comes up next when I finish typing that word. homelessness in America, statistics, mental illness, all kinds of good things. We'll keep it broad. So we'll go here. This is taking us to the page of our research results. Top result is from NIH. It's from 2010. So I can come over here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. I know this is, it's not always easy to see what I'm doing, but I have some choices here. So I'm going to go, I'm really looking for new research. A lot has changed with how we think about homelessness, and post-COVID, I could do maybe since 2020. I can also do a custom range. What research was published on homelessness in 2007? I could come here and do that. So maybe I'm just like looking for a little bit fresher results. And so literature review, a systematic review of the effects of stigma on the health of people experiencing homelessness. I want to read this one already, right? So there's lots of good stuff here. The reason I show you this, of course, looking at and reading research is a helpful way of developing stories. But also, we'll just click on this one because it sounds fascinating. I come here, I get the abstract. We're all used to seeing that. And I'm glad this one worked, we'll get the authors, right? This probably isn't new for any of us, but often the lead author will have a way of contacting them, and I could do that, right? So maybe this is a source that I'd like to interview if this is where my story is headed. And so I also I like this for finding sources on niche topics, or maybe things I don't usually cover and don't have like a robust Rolodex on. I like it for finding new sources, diverse sources. Let's get more marginalized voices in our work, more women, more people of color, more LGBTQ folks. You can't always know that about a person's identity by looking at their name, but you can then go Google them, right? Or sometimes we can guess. So I really, really like this for, let's talk to somebody new. They're going to have a different perspective. So great place to find sources. It is meant to be a place to look up the research. And of course, you can go read as many things as you wish. But I like it for finding people to talk to. You also might notice this tiny create alert. I already talked about Google Alerts, but you can create one here. So you're saying anytime a new paper is published on this topic, I want an email. You can do that right there. One more, just to let you know that's out here. This is kind of an exploratory one. So again, the kind of different ways searching for something specific versus looking for ideas. Data Commons. This was relatively newly redesigned. And so the way that it is meant to be used right now is you can type in a question using natural language. You can see that it's calling that out right here. So, and it's going to pull in data from sources like Census, the Labor and Relations Board, all kinds of trustworthy data sources on these kinds of topics. And it's giving us a couple of examples. So this is they're saying, here's how you could use it. So let's click on this first one. What counties in the US have the most smoke pollution? I'm not sure I could even hazard a guess. So this is those particulate matter at 2.5 concentration. And we see, it's a lot of Georgia and Alabama. So already I'm going, I wonder why, right? What's the story there? This is just a great place to come explore. It's going to help us kind of weed through data by using, again, that natural language questioning that we're used to thinking in and we're used to using. We also get lots of helpful maps and graphics along the way. So here are some, this is what I expected to see, which is smoke pollution in the Western states. And so I just want to put this one on your radar for, I think it's an interesting place to just start poking around and kind of seeing what you might learn, what questions you are working on might be helpful, and seeing what's there. And it'll give you all kinds of helpful tools. So just a brief overview there. All right, this is my slide that is a gear change slide. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to catch my breath and take a sip of coffee, and I'm going to check in if there are questions.
Yes, breathe. That was so much. I'm so glad this is recorded because I don't even know how you can keep all of that in your head. We do actually have a question.
Great.
It's a question that I even wanted to ask, so I'll just throw it at you. This is from an anonymous participant, but they brought up Google Gemini and how can we leverage Google Gemini in these types of searches? Are there ways that you would use it instead of the normal search? And obviously with AI and Google and all of these different technologies emerging, I use it quite often when I'm looking for something very, quickly that I just don't want to do all the extra stuff with. But can these two tools be leveraged together? Does particularly the advanced search, does it seem to work still better than perhaps the Gemini does at this time? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the Gemini training that I can offer is very surface level. So I don't have a ton of helpful deep dive case studies for you at the moment. It's a tool that I occasionally turn to. And so again, I'm thinking as I've framed it, these two ways of searching. I'm looking for this one really specific thing, or I am on a curiosity mission, basically. I wonder what I might research, or I wonder what happens if I go down this path or that path. And I think you can use Gemini for either. You can think of it as like, can it help me narrow in on this piece of information? Or can I use it to explore some thoughts that I've had, or think of it as like a thought partner to develop an idea? So I know some folks have used it in that way. It is baked into this last tool, Pinpoint, in a really unique way. So I think it wasn't the deepest answer that I could give you right now, but I want to just tee up that there's a little bit more on generative AI coming inside this tool, Pinpoint. And that is a great question. So thank you, Anonymous.
Yes, thank you, Anonymous. All right, well, it looks like I'm assuming everybody was processing a good portion of that information. Obviously, a decent amount of tools for us to get to, but I want to go ahead and just transition you into your next topic because I'm very excited to learn about Google Trends. So, selfishly, if there's no more questions, and I don't want
Cool.
to be the person that asks, so go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. I'm happy to take your question too, Liv. And I see there's a message that came to the host, so I'll just highlight that someone has shared in Scholar, which is a tool that they use, that you can, if you find an author that you like their work, you can search by author. So you can go, what else have they written? So that's a great pro tip from someone in the audience. Thank you for that. Cool. All right, so let's talk about trends. If you've used trends, I'd love to know how you've used it, what your experience has been. Feel free to put that in the chat and I'll cast my eyes back over there in a moment or two. I'm going to do a little tab management over here. And so trends, let's see. I usually start by talking about trends because I want to reframe it immediately. Trends sometimes gets a bad rap in newsrooms, or just the word trends, not trends the product, but you feel like it's trendy, it's fly by night, it's interesting for 3 hours and then it's not anymore. And what Google Trends is it is allowing us, it's a tool, public facing, anyone can use it, but it lets us see what people are searching for. And that is super powerful as a journalist. So I just like to kind of reframe and get into that seat of, this is a tool that lets me know what people are curious about, what they have questions about, what I might do stories on, right? Or the angles that I might take in stories. So what is it that they want to know? And are those questions that I can answer? Just checking. Okay, I don't have any trends users yet in the chat, but if someone tells me how they've used it, let me know. Okay, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. I freelance for a news outlet to see what was trending in the business section. It can yield some interesting feature ideas. You can spot big issues before others if you use it right, like long COVID expenses. Fascinating. And Alicia says, I've used trends to see what daily news is spiking to find new angles. Perfect. All right, thanks, y'all. So that's where we're going to keep our framing, is around story ideas, angles. What are people searching for? So here's just a little bit about the data that's in trends. It's a sample. There are billions of searches each day. I don't know how many. We never give the raw numbers of any of this data. So if that's something you want to know, how many people are searching for X, Google's never going to share that. Even the trends team doesn't know that. So it's a sample. So if I create something in trends and you recreated it on your computer, we might have slightly different information because we might have slightly different samples of that massive amount of data. It is anonymous. So this is important. That's because we don't want to have a privacy violation. We can't say, here's what the people on the 100 block of Main Street are searching for, because there might only be one house there. And now we know what they're searching for. That's not okay. We also don't break down by demographics. So this is just, it's a question I hear, so I want to address it up front. It's indexed. I'll show you a little bit more about what that means when we actually go look at the tool. This is where we're not giving the raw numbers. So we can't see this many people are searching for this thing today. And it's normalized, which I think merits an explanation. And so this is normalized for population. So let's see, this year, if anybody lives in a place where you had totality for the eclipse, I traveled to Texas to see it. It was super awesome. I live in California where I don't know what the percentage number was here, but it wasn't close to 100. And so what was interesting is I could search for eclipse in trends, and I could see actually the eclipse path for people are searching for it more where they were going to have totality, which makes perfect sense. There was more excitement and more interest around it if you're going to have that blacked out moment where the sun disappears. And that is because it's normalized. So a place like Burlington, Vermont does not have as many people as Los Angeles, but it's going to show up brighter. It's going to be clear that there's more search interest there than there is somewhere that's not happening. Another way I often explain this is something like climate change. We're all feeling the effects of it more and more in the things that are happening around us, thinking about the hurricanes we've already talked about today. But in places like Guam, Hawaii, you're going to see more interest in climate change as opposed to a place maybe like Omaha, because they're thinking about it more. There's not more people don't live there, but there's more interest. There's more like we are seeing the effects of sea level rise or extreme weather, whatever that might be. So that's normalization. And this is why I like it. So billions of searches a day. This is one of the largest real-time data sets in the world. It's immediate. When there is spot and breaking news, you will start to see that in the search results, especially things like earthquakes, crazy weather events. You know, people hear about it or they feel it and they immediately open up their phones and sort of go, what was that? And then it's honest. And this is where we will kind of spend our time today, is it's a real reflection of what people want to know about. So we don't have to guess anymore. When I used to put the front page together back in the print heyday, we were just kind of going, well, maybe people would like to know this story and we think this one's interesting, and every day was the kind of a guess. And that I would call more art than science. And then we start to get data in, and using a tool like Trends, we can see, oh, people actually really want to know. Every time we write about this, they can't get enough, right? So they're telling us what they're interested in. All right, let's head over to the tool. Feel free to join me. So I'm going to trends.google.com. First thing is the homepage. This is relatively newly redesigned, so it may look different than you last saw it. These are real things that are trending right now in the US. And then we usually get a couple of stories, not usually, we always will get 3 stories that are algorithmically chosen to help us understand why is this being searched for a lot right now. And it actually will give us the question and it's telling us the answer. So we can already just come here and get some information. I want to highlight these dive deeper pages. When there is a topic that is interesting for a long time, like the election, WNBA, extreme weather we've talked about today, we can open up one of these, and I'll open up the elections page. And we can come here and see all kinds of stuff. I have already talked about this, but when I open this little module up, I like to just remind, this is not any kind of prediction. It's not about popularity or sentiment. It's about curiosity and people searching for someone. And when I opened this up several weeks ago, Donald Trump had something like 78% of the searches. And that was the week there was an assassination attempt. So it makes sense. People want to know what happened, right? They go search for something. So we see all of that. We see voting searches by state. So people looking, they're starting to vote, right? Ballots are out in a lot of places. This previously was a voter registration map. So we've made that shift where we are in time. And we also can see political topics. What are people interested in? Highly searched political topics, wages, healthcare, unemployment, etc. We can look at that over time. We could recreate all of this and build all of these things ourselves. We just don't need to, because the Trends team has done it for us. I find this graph in particular really interesting. So it's data from 2004 forward. That's the earliest that we have in Trends on these issues, unemployment, healthcare, etc. And this huge spike is unemployment in April 2020, when there was a lot of unemployment and a lot of people were searching about it. And so this is indexing at play, because there was so much interest in that at that time, very, very outsized, because it was an unprecedented event, having a global pandemic and everything shut down. that all of these other searches get squished because there's so much interest in that. So this is indexing. Electoral college, etc. We won't go through this whole page. I just want you to know that it's there. I have that page hyperlinked in your cheat sheet as well. Finally, I'm going to go all the way down on this page. I just want to highlight the newsletter sign up is here. This comes out every day, usually around maybe within the next hour or two Eastern time. I'm going to actually bring over my email on purpose. Don't worry. And so I'm going to show you, I get this every day. I think this is super valuable. So when you need to come up with story ideas, there's always something interesting in here. Every day, there's a topic that's highlighted. We can look at Social Security from, I think this is yesterday, 2 days ago. Every day, the trends team, they're looking at more of the fire hose than we are. So they go, let's see. So here's a search in Spanish. What's the weather tomorrow? Reached its highest peak since 2020 globally. That's interesting. Lots of interest in Stacey Abrams' podcast. So things that we might not have thought to search for. Couples costumes more than kids costumes everywhere except Nebraska. So Nebraska, they're searching for kid costumes. All kinds of just things you could pull out and turn into stories. And then we get this deep dive breakdown on whatever today's topic is. So the trends of the day, globally, they tend to be kind of US focused, but they're global. There are not different versions of the newsletter. Sometimes I hear, can I get one for Maine or can I get one for where I live? The answer is unfortunately not. But if you look at this every day, you can digest this in under 3 minutes and it will raise the level of your knowledge about audiences and what they search for. So what I want to show you here are these top questions. Social Security, non-beneficiaries rose 850% in the last month. Florida is the top state searching for it in the last 5 years. All of these are potentially story ideas. And then we always get top questions. So if you're doing an FAQ, you don't have to guess on questions anymore. You just get to come here. How do you get a new Social Security card? How much will I get? How is it calculated? Is it taxable? This one I found really interesting. All these different kinds of income, are they taxable? So lots of good stuff here. And then this was a quiz question, I think, from the previous day. So what's searched for more, how to be happy or how to be wealthy? More people are searching for how to be happy. Lots of interesting things. Okay, so that is the newsletter. You got all that. And I want to show you this page is also newly redesigned. This is like a month old. So if you haven't been in trends in a while, or if you never have, welcome. This is a page that answers the question that I've heard most from journalists, which is how can I know what is trending in my city today? And I used to teach a bunch of hacks for how you could answer that question. Now we don't have to do that anymore. We just get to come here and we can put in a location and we can see what people are curious about. So I recently did a training in the Portland, Maine area. So I've got it here in my recent cities. So I'll just do that. If you would like me to put your city up, by the way, please let me know. And so people in Portland, Maine in the last 24 hours, they are searching for things that are national stories. They want to know about that comet. We all probably want to know about that comet, right? How many more days do we have to see it? And then lots of football. And so it never surprises me and it won't surprise you. America loves football. We will always see that in the trends. Let's go to a bigger city. Ooh, Sacramento. Great. So these are Nielsen DMA regions. So you can see it includes Stockton and Modesto. The Portland one we saw, I think Augusta was part of that. That is how the trends team, that's as small as we'll ever get. So again, we don't go to the 100 block of Main Street or we can't go to this neighborhood. We go to your Nielsen region, whatever TV stations you get, that's how it's organized. And here we can see that in Sacramento, people want to know about some of the same things that people in Portland, Maine want to know about, and some different things like power outages. So in California today, we're now having our Diablo winds and there's a high fire red flag warning. And PGE, our power company, is going to purposely shut off power to potentially prevent wildfires. And people want to know, is that going to happen to me? So they come to Google and that's what they type, right? Liv, if there's something that you note for where you live, let us know. I'm seeing other cities here.
No, nothing surprises me. I mean, as long as the Kings
Yes,
showed up. If the Kings hadn't showed up, I would have been surprised. So, no, that
right, here
makes
we
sense.
go. Kings Clippers, yeah.
Here we are.
And this is great because this is a larger region than Portland, Maine. There's more people that live there. So we have more trends. And so we have up to 23 here. I think we had 6 or 7 on the other page. The other thing that's new is that we can now sort by what's active. And this means things that people are still searching for. And you can see them over here, they're green. But if I turn this on, these are trends. They're still trending, basically. There's still interest. So this can be helpful for decision making about stories in real time. Things you might want to go, okay, it's time for us to do something on that. Or actually, interest has waned, we missed it, or the story that we had was good enough, we're moving on. So this could be a helpful decision maker. We see all of that. We get lots of interesting data here. We can also compare things. I'm going to look for a couple of good things to compare. So we'll do PGE because we've already talked about that. And we'll put in the Kings since we already talked about that. So if I go, I'd like to see which of these are people more interested in. Now that I've selected 2, I can click compare. And this is going to take us over to the way of looking at trends that you've probably used before. So you can see here that we're in Sacramento, we're in the last day. These are our 2 terms that were highlighted for us previously. And so we can just compare the 2. This is not a great graph. It's not giving us a ton of information. Here's where I like about trends. So I'm scrolling all the way down. These related queries. When people are searching for something, what else are they searching for? This is where you can find the unique angles, the second day follow-ups. People want to know, PGE login, they're just trying to get into their pages. Clippers and Kings. Here are their questions, right? They're searching for other games. They're interested in one set of matchups. They're interested in others, not surprising. And I can, again, comparing these 2 things, they're not apples and oranges, but I can get a little sense of what do people want to know more about, right? Or sometimes if I'm comparing things, I have an example where I've compared electric vehicles with electric bicycles, and I can kind of see, I'll actually show you, we'll do that one quickly.
And also, Mary,
yes,
while you're
for it.
doing that, there was a question that popped up that I think is kind of
Okay,
relevant to where we're at.
cool.
Paul had asked, I'd love to be able to find topics that people are increasingly searching for. Can you look at search terms that have increased over a certain period of time, that have maybe grown over a certain level? Is that something that Google Trends allows you to do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that one here. So I've done these 2 searches, electric bicycles, electric vehicles. I've done the last year, but let's actually do the last 5 years. And so the question is sort of like, kind of, how can I see over time what's trending up? It's not as, you have to have a topic. So you already have to be thinking, I'm wondering if this thing is trending up. So you need to, like, you have to have something to search for here. Like you can see, I put in these 2 topics. So that's kind of the first way of answering that question. We can't just say, what's new? If you read the newsletter regularly, you will glean some of that information. But here we can see electric vehicles are searched for more than electric bicycles in the last 5 years. The peak was, when is this? Interesting, March 2022. But I can also see their curves kind of match, and that's kind of interesting. I also can see that electric bicycle searches are going up, and actually they sort of came together. I would always expect at this point, people are searching more for cars than they're searching for bikes. More people have cars than they have electric bikes. But it's interesting to just see, what does that actually look like over a period of 5 years? And so to that question too, the way that I sometimes think about this data, one, this might be something that's part of a story. You might talk about interest in X is increasing, and that's just a fact to put in a story. Or this is a way that you sell a story to an editor, and you include a screenshot like this, and you say, there's a lot of interest in electric bikes in your city or wherever. And here's how I know that. So something I heard all the time in the newsroom is somebody would go, oh, everybody's talking about this, we should do a story on that. And some editor would say, we already did a story on that. We've already done that. And it might have been 2 years ago, because time is a flat circle and feels like we did it just yesterday, but it was 2 years ago. But people are interested now. And this is a tool that will allow you to make that case and go, their interest hasn't waned. In fact, it's only increased. It's time to come back to this topic. And here's how we could do it differently this time. Or I go here and I see electric bicycle interest is higher than cars in Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and Alaska. And I have questions about that. I find that super interesting. So to me, that's the story. Here's where I wanted to head as well. And thank you for the question. I think I heard the name Paul, but if that wasn't your name, apologies. All right, got thumbs up. Sweet. Related queries. When people are looking for information on this topic, here's what they are searching for. These are literally the search terms that they're typing in. We're in a 5-year span in the whole US right now, so we're just getting the names of cars. Oh, but then we see some interesting news stories here. EV tax credit, electric cars, Cybertruck. My goodness. If we make this smaller, we should get more interesting things. Maybe the last 30 days. So related queries. In the last 30 days, when people are looking for e-bikes in the US, this is what they're looking for. Electric bike with sidecar. Put your little dog in goggles. Electric vehicles lack, they're Googling a New York Times story here. I haven't read that one. Used Hummers. So if you write about cars, this is all good information. This isn't the world's most exciting trend search, but I want to show you what those related queries are. I'm going to run another one, but I will also ask, I saw you all put cities and locations in the chat. Thank you. Topics that you're working on or you would like to see in trends. Go ahead and put those in the chat too while I run this other one. I will take your information. So I'm just searching for hurricane. I'm going to make this Florida. And we're going to keep it the last 30 days because my goodness, there's certainly been enough activity. Look at these 2 spikes. We know what those are. Those are our 2 hurricanes. We can see where that interest was. Where are people searching more? Not surprisingly, the areas that were likely to be hit the hardest, the Tampa St. Pete area. And this is what people search for. Trackers, they want to know the path. If we go more deep, or what am I trying to say? If we go more narrow in time, we will see things like how good is a frozen pizza when the power's out? Like how long is it safe to eat? Or how do you safely operate a generator? And all kinds of things that people come here. So we can see what they want to know about and we can then answer those questions. So that's, I think, the value too of trends, looking at these related queries. All right, we got some topics here. Penguins, thank you. Okay, somebody wants to look at MPOX. Let's do that. Then we will do our final gear change to our last tool. So I just want to call this out too. There are search terms and there are topics. I usually choose the topic because it's going to get all of the rolled up information. So when something is like a nickname, I often use Kate Middleton for this example. We all might search for her differently. Someone might call her the Princess of Wales. Someone calls her Princess Kate. Someone calls her Kate Middleton. It's all the same person. When I go find her topic page, all those searches roll up into that. So we get more volume. So that's more helpful. So I'm coming here, I'm looking in Florida. Let's broaden this out. Let's actually do this maybe globally. So we'll go worldwide last 30 days. So people are searching for it less. It was spiking at the beginning of this search time frame. Where are people searching most for MPOX? Zimbabwe. And this is what they want to know about. So they're looking for information about cases that they've heard about. Breakout means 5,000% interest or more in this topic in this time frame than the previous. So it's truly like a breakout spot news. They want to know about COVID variants. So this is like related, right? When they're searching for one thing, they're searching for another. They're kind of on, that's their mindset. Give me all that information. So here's what we can see. All kinds of interesting things. All right. So, of course, I'm hearing change the time frame. Do the last 5 years and do the United States. If that wasn't for MPOX, I apologize, but I will do that here. I know I'm moving really fast. I want you to know what's possible in this tool without having to break down every step you need to do it, but I'm also happy to answer questions about it too going forward. So here's MPOX. Here's the graph, right? When it first arrived and we started learning about it to when it peaked. And now there's that third peak here. This is data for the US for the last 5 years. Where are people searching for it? Whereas more search interest. There are not more people in the district in Columbia than there are in California, but there's more interest there. And then here's what we can see all about it. What does it look like? And that's a great way of talking to that we all, and the people that we write for, we put things into Google that we don't ask other people. We put in medical symptoms. We search for news events that we feel like we should know about, but maybe we didn't pay attention for a couple of days that we need to catch up. And we will ask Google things that we don't ask other people. And so when we think about that, and then we can come to a site like Trends and we can start to see what is it that people want to know. Oh my gosh, they have this question. I can answer that for them. I know the perfect source to talk to, right? So this is a way of understanding what it is they want. Okay, we don't have a ton of time left, so I want to make sure we get to Pinpoint. So I'm going to do our second and final gear change. I'm going to move past all these things. Checking in for questions. Some of them I think we got in real time. Yes.
Yeah, I think we got most of them in real time. It does look like there's like one that says, do you have any tips for further sharpening trend searches by demographics? I was actually going to piggyback onto that and say, can you use the advanced search techniques, for example, the way that you typed with the colons can you translate that into Google Trends to then refine exactly what you're looking for?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So not all of them, but some of them. So this is one of the hacks people used to ask, how do I know what's trending where I live? So you could put in all the question words, or as many as you can think of. And you can add them all together. So just like how we kind of saw. And so we're still in the US in the last 5 years. I'm really curious what it's going to be. When people, the most popular what question in the US in the last 5 years is, what dinosaur has 500 teeth? And I don't know the answer to that. But if we clicked on this, we could figure it out. Where the crawdads sing. How do I register to vote? That's gratifying to see. How to register to vote. What is Juneteenth? Good questions. These are the kinds of things people ask Google. What day is it? Well, they do. They literally open their phones and they type in what time is it, and they type in what's the weather, and they go to Google and they search the word Google, and that's just what people do, which I just find kind of beautiful in its own way. So you can do some of that. It is difficult so for the demographic question, you can't necessarily go, what are people like this? What are women searching for when they are searching for COVID? We aren't able to cross-reference two things, but sometimes I'll just put them up in here and see what I might be able to extrapolate, but we can't really like narrow down and add more filters. So it's a little bit of a yes and no.
Well,
What
thank you.
else?
Let's see. Let's double check. If there was a couple of just random questions in terms of like, why are some of the trending now charts green versus others gray?
Yeah,
I don't have the
that
answer.
one was active trends. So
Okay,
that
there you
was
go.
over here, the green ones. This means people are still searching for these things. They're still interested in them at a high rate. People are still searching for these other things, just not as much as they were earlier, or
Okay.
like probably last night.
Yeah. And then the final one that I think is important, and then we can switch because I definitely want to
Cool.
hit
Yep,
Pinpoint. For
absolutely.
folks doing hyper local community responsive reporting,
Yes,
is there any
yes.
way to zoom in on search trends for a more specific community, say a suburb, a rural area, or a news desert?
No, the Nielsen region is the smallest geographic region that we can access in the tool. However, asterisk, the trends team, I believe, has county level data. So I would suggest reaching out to them. Their contact information is right here, and being specific about that query. So I am looking for county level data on this topic in this area. Can you please help me? And I think they probably can. I don't know for sure. I have heard from them that they have county level data. I was surprised to learn that. I haven't not seen it for myself because I don't look at the tool in the same way that they do, but I think so. But
Okay.
worth a shot.
Awesome. Well, I
Great.
think we got it good. Let's go next to
Cool.
Pinpoint. Very excited.
Okay, perfect. All right. So again, and then sort of name of efficiency, letting the tools do some of the heavy lifting. You only have a certain amount of time and energy every day. We all do, no matter what we work on. Pinpoint is a tool that I think of when I think about how can I do this thing smarter? How can I do it better? This is the one where there is generative AI baked in. I will show you that. I do want to save a little bit of time at the end, but I'm going to spend probably the next 8 or so minutes telling you and showing you a little bit of Pinpoint. So it was created for journalists. It is only available for journalists and researchers. So this is one of the ones that's not public facing. It allows you to analyze, search through, and generally make sense of large document collections. So if you are doing document-based reporting, this is a tool you're going to want to have in your quiver. And even if you're not doing that, there are so many interesting ways to use it. We see people using it for, of course, investigative work was kind of the use case that it was designed for, but people are using it to do transcriptions. They're collecting their notes. It will search handwriting. So even your notes, if they're legible, you can put them in there and you're able to search through them. All the times I wrote down this name, perhaps, or pulling everything from the city council, all their meeting agendas, all the documents that they share, all their Zoom recordings. You can just add to that collection over time and it will start to make sense and get more robust. I'm going to show you some of those cool searches. I always like to just highlight the transcription. We talked about that. It does it in multiple languages. It does videos. So you can put a YouTube video in there. You got to download it first, but upload it into Pinpoint and it will start to transcribe immediately. You don't have to tell it to transcribe. It just does it because it knows it's what you want. You can do up to 2 hours of audio at a time or video. If you have something longer, you just chop it into sections. I think it's important to talk about privacy and security. So I like to just pause to do that. So let's see. Everything you upload into Pinpoint is private to you and you alone, unless you choose to share it with someone else, which you can do. You can collaborate with others. You can share things publicly as a public service or an audience service. But anything you put in there, it stays, it's just yours. Google is not looking at it. We're not training on it. We're not exposing it in search results. It's yours. If you are used to using tools like Gmail and Drive for the work that you do, this has the same level of privacy and security. If there is something you hold so close to the vest that you wouldn't put in an email, you probably wouldn't also put it in Pinpoint. But it is great for making sense of those large document collections. I'm not going to do a full demo of this, so I do want to make sure I show you these GIFs. It can also help you pull information, turn it into a spreadsheet off of PDFs. So I heard someone refer to them recently as unsearchable PDFs. There's no such thing anymore as an unsearchable PDF. Even if it's handwriting, even if it's cursive from 200 years ago, even if it looks like this, anything that's characters can be read and found and can be extracted and pulled off and turned into a CSV file. You can also do it for multiple at one time. So if you have a bunch of forms that look the same, 990 reports for nonprofits, campaign finance reports, housing inspections, you name it. If they're structured the same, you'll annotate one and it will pull data off of all of them simultaneously. I don't like to say that technology is magic, but this one kind of feels like magic. So if that is something that's important to you, I have highlighted a video that will walk you through exactly how to do it and give it a whirl. Okay, let's go look at Pinpoint instead of talking about it. Let's go see it. So if you don't have access, you will just quickly fill out a form where you say who you are and what you do. The team has a goal of getting back to journalists within 24 hours, so you should have access really quickly. Again, it is free. There's no like paid tier. It's just available to be helpful to you. If you want to learn about how other organizations are using it, you can look at case studies. And we're just going to click on get started and get right in there. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is the explore page. So even if you're not sure, do I have documents that I want to put in here? You can come to explore and find public document collections that other journalists have shared with the rest of us. And every time I open this page, there's something new. So if I go, who has shared something interesting on taxes? So just search for taxes. I've got this collection from the Times. IRS 527 tax exempt organizations select nonprofits, tax avoidance, taxes in India. If I search for this presidential candidate, I get interesting document collections from Reuters. These are all public. These are all available to us to use as we wish and available to the public. So if I go into this one, yes.
Oh, are you sharing your screen?
Did I stop? It says screen sharing.
Okay.
Something
I don't know
happened?
why I don't see it.
Uh-oh.
I see it.
It looks like others see it. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm opening this first document. This was shared by Reuters. I just want to show you kind of what's here. So I'm just going to highlight all of this text. I'm going to copy it. I'm opening up a new Google Doc. I'm just going to paste in what I got. And so it's taking some of that's handwriting, and I can copy and paste all of it now. So I can now begin to kind of work with it. If I want some of that in a story, easier to do. It makes some things that were hard to find easier to find. I want to also show you all, just while I have a Google Doc open, this is a super bonus tool. If you've never done it, it can be helpful. I'm clicking on tools. I'm looking for voice typing and speak. And so let's see. There we go. I'm just trying to find the end of the document. So here I'm talking and it's recording what I'm doing and it's transcribing it as I do it. Just want y'all to know that that's available. Real-time transcription just in a Google Doc. I'm going to close that up and go back to Pinpoint. That was a bonus. And so that's the explore area. Lots of cool things to find. Before I switch over to my workspace, I want to show you where the language settings are. So these are the languages that it can transcribe in. It is not every language. We only release languages in here when we know that the quality of the transcription will meet our standards. And it's hard to do that well. So it is not every language available. But if it's here, you'll find it. And then entity display language means my documents are in this language. There are more choices here because this is easier to do, to interpret languages on written documents versus in audio. My workspace is where I can create my own collections and others can share them with me. You can see this was shared. This little doc indicates this is just mine. If I've shared something, it lets me know that too. So all good indications of just where everything stands. When I go into this collection, a collection can have up to 200,000 documents. That doesn't mean 200,000 pages. Each of those documents could be 50 pages, could be whatever. It'll still hold them all. It will not detract from space you use in other apps. That's a problem that you run into, which is one that I do. This is a huge amount of space. And then what it first is going to do is it's going to analyze what are the names that show up most often, what are the organizations, and what are the locations. Thinking back to the question, the hyperlocal question, zip codes. I will see zip codes in here if they are in your documents. So depending on what you're collecting and reporting on, you could potentially get pretty granular here. And this is a great way of just kind of going, what do I have, right? If you've put out a public records request and now you've gotten your documents back, you know there's stories in there. That's why you asked for the documents. You're going to need to go in there and find them. So let me look for every reference to this person or this particular phrase. Or, oh, look, they seem to talk about DOD quite a bit. I wonder why. If I click on that, it'll say, here are all of the places it shows up. So lots of ways of kind of making sense of what you have. It does all of that really, really quickly. That's just, Pinpoint's been around for probably 5 years. It did this on day one. Now we have generative AI. We have that data extraction. I'm going to show you that AI and then we'll turn to questions. So I'm in a collection here of the very newsy Federalist Papers. And here's the sidebar we were just looking at, names that get pulled out. And if I click on this little guy, so this uses the Gemini LLM to the question earlier about that. And I can ask questions about my documents. So I can say, what is the case for Constitution? Spoiler alert, we got one. And we're gonna let it work. This is a beta, so it doesn't always do exactly what I expect, but today it has. When I hover over this answer, first it's telling me, we looked in your entire collection to answer this question for you. It's not pulling from Gemini, what Gemini has already ingested and learned on. It's only looking at my documents and it's only doing that in one direction. It is not taking in the information from my documents and sending that back to the large language model. It's just applying itself right here in this kind of closed space. When I click, or excuse me, when I hover over this, it goes, here's where I found this answer. So I don't have to take its word for it. I can just go see, here are the places in these documents that it answered my question. And you can use questions like, give me an executive summary. You know, you haven't read through the document yet. You probably still will, but quickly, what's it about, right? It can also, this is new, let me do this correctly. I'm going to go into a single document. It's going to give me an overview. It's working on that right now. And it gives me suggested questions, which I love, because the questions that I have might not be the right questions, or that's going to highlight something that I haven't thought of yet. These are very AP history type questions here, but I have seen some really cool things about documents that wouldn't have been on my radar. So I find that really interesting. So that's all like under that umbrella of helping you make sense of the documents that you have through all kinds of different ways. Some people use it just for that data extraction feature. Some people use it just for transcription. Some people make use of all the different things it can do, but it was created to help with reporting. And I think it can be really, really interesting for doing that. All right, I will stop talking. I've gone longer than I meant to. We're still within our time, but I haven't left a ton for questions. So Liv, where are we at?
Holy moly. Well, we have 2 minutes before my thing
Sorry,
is
folks.
gonna. Luckily, most of the questions kind of got answered as you were talking. The one question that I do see is, does Pinpoint work with maps that you've created, like map pin notes, things like that? Can it analyze that kind of information as well? But other than
So
that, it
for
looks like
that, it needs to be in a format that it can ingest. So it can't ingest a map, but it could ingest a PDF, or you can take a screenshot of something and it will search for all of the words that it can find on that. So I think the short answer is yes. The longer answer is it depends on exactly how, but there are lots of workarounds for that.
lots of workarounds. Well, whew,
No, it's a
it's
lot.
so much information, but so much amazing information, Mary. We can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit and talk with us about all of these tools that are actually, I'm already feeling like I know what I'm going to be doing with my life far better than I did a half hour ago. Because we're about to come to the end, I want to make sure that we talk about the survey that Mary has for this lovely process that she just did. Haley is going to go ahead and drop that into the chat for us. I also want to kick it over to the IIJ founder, my mentor. She's a wonderful lady. Catherine, if you could just really quickly give us our last little moments. This has been so great. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm blushing, Liv. So thank you so much, Mary, for that really amazing presentation. I'm glad we recorded it because I will be watching it again. And I did say to people when we were promoting this, even just our prep call, I've already started using Pinpoint. So thank you so much. Everyone, please do take the survey. That is how Mary shows to her client that she's doing an amazing job and that we need to continue to have more journalism training like this. I think the certificate sounds awesome. So definitely sign up for that as well. And most important, please join us next month for a webinar on journalism layoffs. And I know it's not a topic people like to talk about. However, from interviewing dozens of people who were laid off in the last year for the article that we ran in Columbia Journalism Review, I know that being prepared is the most important thing for feeling that layoffs are really going to be something you can handle. So it's November 8th at 12 o'clock Eastern time like this. We're going to have Yoe Shaw from Invisibilia and the Proxy podcast, as well as Maudlin Ihedrika from the Field Foundation, myself talking about the survey and how I survived my mass layoff, and as well as Janice Yamaka, who is one of the many people featured in the Columbia Journalism Review story. And then December 13th, we're doing a webinar on journalism adjacent work, which I think more of us need to explore to stay afloat in this really dire time for online media and journalism opportunities. So please register on our website, theiij.com, for those. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. Liv Monahan, thank you for the wonderful, enthusiastic, and expert moderation. And Mary, thank you so much for the very helpful presentation. I hope to continue learning from you in weeks and months and years to come.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next month.